Mount Vernon is one of the most historical places in the country. Most everyone has heard of the beautiful Virginia home that sits on the Potomac River. However, not everyone knows the true historical value of the site. If you're able to visit the house ever, you can learn a whole lot. If those walls could talk, they would tell stories with priceless historical significance. So many events have taken place at Mount Vernon, and so many important causes have played out on a small scale. Mount Vernon is an extremely beautiful place. It is a massive plantation that consists of about 500 acres. When approaching the main house, you will see to the right the kitchen and to the left the servant's house, along with the salt house and gardener's house. The property has several gardens, including the upper and lower garden. From the back of the mansion, you will have a great view of the Potomac River. The grounds also hold animal pens, a distillery, a grist mill, a blacksmith shop, a smokehouse, and a 16-sided barn. The property is absolutely gorgeous and has a rich history so closely tied with the American story. It was originally owned by George Washington's great-grandfather, John Washington. It was then known as Little Hunting Creek Plantation, named after the nearby Little Hunting Creek. When President Washington's brother inherited the land, he changed the name to Mount Vernon in honor of his commanding officer in the British Navy, Vice Admiral Edward Vernon. The mansion on the plantation is in great shape now. That has not always been the case. After the death of George Washington, ownership of the mansion went to several of his ancestors. His great-grandnephew eventually came into possession of it and allowed tourists to come visit. This went on for years, and over those years, the house began to deteriorate, as did the funds for the upkeep. President Washington's great-grandnephew, John Augustine Washington, appealed to Congress to buy the mansion. They rejected him. He then appealed to the Virginia General Assembly. They too declined. Eventually, the mansion was sold and upkeep began. It served as a middle ground during the American Civil War, and it is also the resting place of President George Washington as well. Mount Vernon would be an incredible place to visit. There have been so many important events taking place there, and the current learning opportunities are immeasurable. For one, it was the actual living residence of President George Washington during his presidency. President Washington was a known slave owner, and there are actually several slave houses on the property. Slavery is such a massively debated issue throughout American history, and the fact that the first president owned slaves says a lot about the culture of the time and also on his religious views. The religious views of the Founding Fathers has also always been controversial. Were they religious? Did they set America up as a Christian nation? We can learn a lot by visiting the places they lived and the places they visited. Anytime we get a chance to look into the lives of important figures, we should not take it for granted. Mount Vernon is a well-maintained piece of history that is still used by presidents today. It is a very educational part of our past and would be an incredible place to visit.